Interesting concept, perception, the way you view a situation. So let's say you have two people involved in a situation, and a person is under stress or nervous or not so much bewildered but somewhat lost, and it's the area or the place is new, and that nervousness can wind up making a person project outward and wind up turning into almost like anger or resentment or whatever. And what it does is it actually changes your perception of reality. So if you, let's say, if you take a person that's reasonable and sees the facts for what they are, as opposed to someone that is nervous or jumpy or not really sure of the surroundings or whatever have you, that person perception is completely changed, and then the perception can wind up being quite exaggerated or biased or presidential or slanted. And a perfect example would be like the O.J. Simpson trial. The O.J. Simpson trial is a perfect example. Facts dictate. The facts. I mean, the glove alone is enough. Okay, the glove alone is enough. The glove that was found on O.J. Simpson's property next to the fence, on O.J. Simpson's property next to the fence, was wet with blood of Nicole Simpson and Ron, I can't remember his name. See if I can bring this up here. Right. And get the names right. Was the, okay, Nicole Simpson. Okay, it was, let's see, remember, I want to get the names right first. Yeah, it's, the restaurant waiter was Ronald Lyle Goldman, and the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson was Nicole Brown Simpson. Okay, so here you have the glove that was found on O.J. Simpson's property, okay? And it was full of wet blood that was the blood of Goldman and Nicole Simpson's blood was on that glove. Okay, now, just coincidentally, right, supposed to be, what is a wet glove doing there on O.J. Simpson's property at the same time that there was a murder that was committed, or a double homicide that was committed, that had Simpson's and Goldman's blood on that glove? What's that doing in O.J. Simpson's backyard? Now, that to me would be enough to convict him on that. I mean, this is just, if you take a simple fact like that, okay. But on the other hand, then you have, what's his name? What was his name? Yeah. So it's been, I watched this back in '94. I can't remember. All right, I think it was Effie Bailey. Who was his attorney? F. Lee Bailey. F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro and Johnny Cochran, they did some research, and they tried to find whatever they could on the guy that found the glove, which was Mark Furman. He was a police officer at that time. And they found out that some kind of locker room talk years before the actual double homicide that happened with O.J. Simpson, apparently, he said the word nigger. Okay, just talking, locker room talk, guys talking about whatever. Okay, has nothing to do with the double homicide. Happened years before, but because he said nigger, they slowly, F. Lee Bailey slowly got Furman, who found this glove, which is a factual piece of evidence with blood, DNA on the glove, was able to was really the judge that allowed this but this cross-examination of Mark Furman into the trial transcript for the jury to look over and deliberate over. And that's the judge. Eton was pretty much, it's all politics because of the Rodney King situation a little bit before this time. But anyway, I want to stick with the glove, okay, and what it has to do with the caption of the video. So I slowly got Mark Furman to admit that he said the word nigger, which has nothing to do with the double homicide or the O.J. Simpson trial. But that word nigger inflamed the jury because I think the majority of the people on the jury were blacks. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure. And that word inflamed them that they got emotional or they got nervous over that word, or they couldn't think. They got bewildered over that word. And because of the anger and the resentment that is attached to that word from the black people's perception, they figured, well, that glove was planted there by Mark Furman, even though he didn't plant it. I mean, it's crazy to think that. But regardless if the jury, for the most part, believed it or not, it screwed with their heads to the point that they couldn't think and they couldn't put the facts one and one together. That the fact was, here's a glove, a wet glove, full of blood, with Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman's blood on it. It's just amazing that double homicide just happened, a few minutes before this glove was put on the ground on O.J. Simpson's ground. How it got there was when he went over the fence. Apparently his glove, either he was wearing it or was holding it or something, but O.J. Simpson dropped it somehow or another. Okay? That's the facts. But because of the word nigger, the blacks couldn't think. And it changed their perception of reality, or changed their perception of the facts. And therefore, when they came back, they found him not guilty. Simply because of that one word. And it can not just about words. It can be the environment you're in. Or let's say you're new to a new city or something. You've never been to a city before. And you're looking for directions. Or you're traveling down a street and you're trying to find this one address. And you can't think properly. And all of a sudden your car is swerving, into the lane, out of the lane, or whatever have you. And then all of a sudden, a police officer's lights go on. And then you'll say, to the police officer, well, I was looking for an address. Well, meanwhile, you can be smashing into other cars, going into ongoing traffic, killing someone. You're not seeing someone around you. Police officer's just doing his job. But in your mind, what's going on? You're looking for an address, and you couldn't see the road properly because you're so bewildered by trying to find this address. And it changes your perception. Because even though you're trying to explain, well, I'm looking for an address, police, they go by the book. I know people say, no, they don't. Yes, they do, actually. I mean, here you are swerving in and around I'll give you a perfect example. I remember this was back in, God, when this, oh, this was about 94, 95. And it was in Flanders, New Jersey. I was a chauffeur. And it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to find this address on this main, not a main highway, but sort of it was a 2-lane highway. It was 1 lane this way. It was 1 lane going, let's see, would it be going south, I guess. Okay, so 1 lane going south, and then the oncoming traffic is going north. Can't remember. I remember it being next to the M&M's candy factory over there. Anyway, it might not be Flanders. It might be something else. But anyway, it's right past the M&M company in Mars bars and all that in New Jersey. I can't remember. Maybe it wasn't Flanders. Anyway, I'm on this road, and I'm going this way. And there's other cars going this way. Well, meanwhile, I'm trying to find this address in the middle, pitch dark. Okay, and all of a sudden, the lights go on, and I'm pulled over to the side, and the guy says, the police officer says, your car was not completely in the other lane, the oncoming lane. There's no cars coming. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember what day it was. But he said, you were sort of crossing over that double line, because there was a double lane there, double line there. And I said, well, I was trying to look for an address. And he says, well, you have to be very careful, because, the oncoming traffic, you could. And I remember saying I'm sorry to him, and he just gave me a warning. I'm sure that gets printed onto the screen or whatever have you. He didn't ticket me or anything, but he gave me a warning. And it took me, actually, if I remember, I was actually late a little bit for this person who was picking up, because I couldn't find that. I eventually did, but I couldn't find. But anyway, the point is that's a perfect example. As here I am lost, not lost, but in a way lost, because I couldn't find this new address. I'm going to 5 in the morning, pitch dark outside in a Lincoln Town car, and my perception is I need to find this person. I need to get to this person, and the police perception is you're breaking the law by, even though you didn't mean it, you're swerving somewhat into the other oncoming traffic lane. And the police is going by the laws, because you're drifting into the other lane with the oncoming traffic. And my perception is I was just trying to find an address. Now, of course, that's not as concrete as what happened with Mark Furman and O.J. Simpson. When the word nigger came up, the jury could not think straight. You understand? They could not deliberate. Because when you deliberate, all you're doing is 2 things, only. I don't know if, I've been on a jury before, so I know. There's only 2 things you're looking at, only. Is you're looking at the facts, and you're looking at the law that was instructed to you by the judge. So the judge gives you these laws, or statutes, or whatever have you, but the judge will instruct you on the law, and then it was up to the prosecution and defense attorneys to present the facts, and then you have to work out those facts. And once you conclude on those facts, if everyone agrees to it, then you got a guilty or a not guilty verdict. On the other hand, if a jury can't conclude on it, and you have some for, some against, then you wind up with a hung jury. But, and I'm not going to talk, like I said in the other video, I'm not going to talk about the jury I sat on, because to me that's privy. I think all jurors shouldn't talk about whatever case you're on. I think that's a private matter. So anyway, but nevertheless, you have those facts you have to look at. Now, when that O.J. Simpson jury, when F. Lee Bailey had Mark Furman say the word nigger, and he was the one that found that glove, that bloody glove. All those facts about the glove itself, with the blood stains on it being wet, and all this stuff, and not only that, the glove belonged to O.J. Simpson. Now they're going to say, yeah, well, it didn't fit him. Remember, there was a saying, I think it was, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit, or something like that. Well, this is another thing the judge allowed in, but he was driven by politics. So you can't even I don't blame the judge. I blame the politics of the day because of what happened with Rodney King. And what happened there was the judge allowed into the trial. When O.J. Simpson put that glove over his hand, what did he have under that glove? One of those not plastic. Let me find this. Okay, glove. What is that called? Medical. Okay, I'll find medical glove. It was a. I'll find it. Don't worry. It was a latex glove. So here he has, O.J. Simpson has a latex glove, and then takes this glove that was wet at one time with blood, which shrunk the glove anyway to a degree. He's struggling with this glove over the latex glove. Of course, it's going to be hard for him to put it on. And that was the con that, unfortunately, the judge allowed happen. It was bad enough that the glove that was bloodied at one time shrunk a little bit, because it's a leather glove. And believe me, anything that O.J. Simpson had was authentic. I mean, he was, was a pretty rich guy at the time, So, I mean, that glove was, I don't know, it was like Italian leather or whatever the hell it was. I don't know if it's Italian. But anyway, the point is it was real leather. So it shrunk to a degree, and then he's trying to put it over this latex glove. Now, that was up to the judge to let into the trial, but that was really coming from the politics of the day because of the Rodney King situation. The point is that soon as that whole rhyme thing going on there, if the glove don't fit, you must quit thing, that stayed in the jury mind. And so between the latex glove situation and Furman saying nigger, the word nigger, sometime before the trial, which had nothing to do with O.J. Simpson or the trial or the double homicide or any of that, that changed the jury's perception completely. And they could not see the facts for what they were. They couldn't see the glove that was bloodied, the glove that had Nicole Simpson's blood on it, the glove that had Ron Goldman's blood on it, that it was found on O.J. Simpson's property, that it was found pretty much around the time that the double homicide happened, that it was wet or with blood. It was just recent. It wasn't like, just was laying there for some time, for days or whatever. It was pretty much in the same path that he took to get to his house, and that's what inflamed the jury, which changed their perception completely. And then you had a verdict of not guilty. And it was mainly, believe it or not, based upon, a lot of people may disagree, especially the black communities, but it was solely based on the word nigger and not on the evidence or the facts of the case. And that changes the perception. And it's not just about blacks, it can be anybody, okay? But if you have a situation that inflames the person, or the person can't think straight, or they're nervous or they're bewildered or whatever have you, and then they tell what happened, or they're telling you something during the time while that person's actually being bewildered or lost or whatever have you, or nervous, then the words that come out are because of the perception of the time and place in the present at that moment there, the description of what is going on is completely different than what the facts are. And that's perception. That's the whole thing about perception. And that's why politicians especially, everyone's all wrapped, like Donald Trump, perfect example. Everyone's all wrapped up into Donald Trump because they perceive he's like the hero of the day or something, you know. And he's not going to change anything for one thing. And if you know his record, I did a, I think I did Trump Stump, no, Trump This. See the video, Trump This. I mean, he's not for the American worker, but because they're so caught up in the emotional energy that he's given off that people can't think. They can't think. They can't put the facts together. They can't. They don't do any research. So all into this whole thing: anti-Republican, anti-Democrat, anti-independent party. We need a new face in government. Yeah, you know. And they're all caught up in that, which changes that perception. It changes the perception of what really is. So anyway, I wanted to do this little video of perception. And anyway, you guys have a great day. Bye.